What's up, everybody? It's Greg Birch with Delta Financial, and this is the Be the Difference podcast. This podcast is all about making you a better person in your life and in your business by talking to you about sales, leadership, entrepreneurship, mindset, and marketing. Today, this is a guest speaker podcast, and I have the honor and pleasure of welcoming with me Mr. Matt Adelmann.
Woo-hoo! Here we go.
What's going on, Matt?
How are you?
I'm doing well, brother. I'm doing well. How are you?
I'm doing great, man. I'm excited to be on here with you. This is gonna be fun.
It is gonna be. It is gonna be. And as we get started, what I'd like to do, Matt, is I'm gonna start off with your bio, kind of tell the people a little bit about yourself, and then I'm gonna let you take over from there and just tell everyone your story.
Sure, man. Let's do it.
So a little bit about Matt. Matt is a highly respected industry leader in the food and beverage world. Now, he's a partner with Kyoto. Is it Kyoto Consulting? Kyoto Consulting, and Matt has helped food companies to sell billions of dollars in product throughout all of North America. He strategically partners with his clients to challenge, inspire, and over-deliver on their business goals and drive record sales. Matt's closely worked with the largest food companies in the world, from Cargill to Kraft, Nestle to PepsiCo, and hundreds of up-and-coming companies in between. Matt has spent the last 20 years learning all of the ins and outs of the food industry as a merchant at Target, Albertsons, and Super Value, where the work of he and his team can be seen in thousands of food products that are on the shelves today. He was also responsible for managing the Land O'Lakes brand, where he won Marketer of the Year for his work of the I Am Deli American advertising and marketing campaign. Today, Matt can be found guiding his clients of Kyoto Consulting through the ins and outs of working with retailers like Target, Albertsons, and Save-A-Lot. When he's not deep in the analytics of category research or new trends in the food industry, you can find him hosting his podcast, The Hardest Deal, or filming videos for his Matt Adelmann YouTube channel, which I've actually been able to be on the Hardest Deal with
yes.
Matt. So, Matt, thank you so much for coming on board. Tell everyone a little bit about how did you get started in the food and beverage industry?
Well, first of all, thank you so much for having me on. I am a huge fan of yours, and I don't know if I told you this when we talked last time. I had asked a few people what it was like working with you and talking to you, and everyone's like, he's the real deal, man. Tons of respect for Greg and what he's doing. So I echo that. Thank you so much for having me here. And when you read my bio, it sounds so much more professional than I eat a lot of food. That's what I used to tell people I do.
That's a good way to put it.
Yeah. So I've had such a random journey getting to where I'm at. I have been in the food world the last 20 plus years, but I had no intentions to get there. I always tell people, have you read the book Range by David Epstein?
Range? No, I have not.
So it's a really fascinating book. It's called Range, and it's the subtitle is How Generalists Succeed in a Specialized World. Okay. And basically it goes through the story of generalists and people who just have broad experiences, and how at the end of the day they tend to outperform like uber specialists. Mm-hmm. So I always tell people I'm a mix of like that book Range. I've had this really random background, but if you combine the mindset of like extreme ownership or Goggins Can't Hurt Me, mm-hmm. like I've always believed I could do, and I'm going to do big things. I just never knew how I was going to get there until, ultimately a few years ago, I landed where I did now. So, 20 years in the food industry, working for Target was the most recent one. I ran the deli business for them. So if you ever shop at Target stores today and you buy into the food products in the deli area, that was the stuff that our team put together, built, managed, launched. I ran the category, which means that at the end of the day, Target said, we want you to grow at X. I said, okay, here we go. We're going to figure out how to do that. So that was the corporate world. Now I lead companies that want to sell retailers product. So if you make food and you want to sell to Target, you call my team and we help you make that happen.
So you're sound like almost like an intrapreneur, kind of like you're in that sweet spot middle space where you're like an advisor to all these different companies. And helping them to leverage their products and their services. Okay.
Yeah, that's a kind of a good way to look at it. when you're a merchant at any of these big companies, or if you're, you know, a marketing leader at a CPG brand, like you are the person that has to run that business,
Mhm.
right? It's not like Target's CEO was involved in the deli world telling me what to do or how to do it. I had to figure it out, right? Me and my team. I've always kind of, I guess, entrepreneur would be a good way to put it. And now that's, you know, we help other companies. Most people are really good at making something. They don't necessarily know how to get it sold. And so that's where we come in.
Okay. Okay. So now you've tried, or you originally, when I think it was when you were coming out of college, that you looked at doing some like working for yourself, 1099, self-employed work. Tell a little bit about that.
Yeah. So my dad's a dentist. So since I was 6, I was gonna be a dentist. That was my passion. That was my like whole idea growing up, right? I've never been surrounded by business people. I knew nothing about the business world other than my dad owned his own business, but it was in the dental industry. So when I went into college, I was a cell biology undergrad. I was going to be a dentist. And by the time I became a senior in college, I'm like, I suck at school. I'm not that smart. I don't think I could get into dental school, but I don't really like it. I love business, right? Like there was something about the boardroom meetings, the shaking hands, the doing deals that just appealed to me, even though I had no idea what that was, as odd as that sounds. And so
Mhm.
when I left college, I knew nothing. I knew nothing about what I was doing or where I was going. And I happened to walk into my Allstate insurance advisor's office because I needed a policy for the motorcycle I had at the time. And, you know, he pitched me on, why don't you come work for me and try the insurance thing out? You don't need to know anything. I'll teach you. Come on in. And so, yeah, I was in the insurance world for the first 2 or 3 years, trying to be 1099, building my own thing.
Mhm.
But I'm, you know, 22, 23, whatever. And dude, I didn't have the mindset that I have now. And I didn't do it. I wasn't good at calling people. I wasn't good at following up. I wasn't good at sales yet. So I kind of flunked out of that and luckily found my way into corporate America and the food world instead. But um, yeah,
What was
that was
something that you
the way
learned?
back days.
What was something that you learned from that time frame?
You know, so I was at Allstate for a little while, and I ended up transitioning to Mutual. And Mutual had a really great sales training program. And while I guess I wasn't great at it, I was able to take the idea of it. So they preached, you know, set 5 appointments a day, keep 3, you'll close 1 deal. And if you do that every day, that's how you become uber successful. And
Mhm.
so like the idea of breaking down a really hard task into just small manageable bite-sized pieces, and even if it doesn't feel like you're making progress and success, if you just follow the template, set 5, keep 3, sell 1, it works. It may
Mhm.
not always be 5-3-1 every single day. It might be, you know, 5-0-0,
Yeah.
3-3-3, like who knows. But the general principle will hold up in the long haul if you just do it. And I didn't realize it, but I've kept that mentality through in what I do now, that if you just bite-sized chunks, stay at it, stay consistent, follow the formula, it's going to work.
Yeah, having the strategy and the formula of um, consistent daily growth and not trying to become uber successful 6 months, 1 year down the road, but just keeping a disciplined schedule and following that strategy, being disciplined in your actions day in and day out. And then what you just work for 6 months, and after 6 months you kind of peek your head up and look around and you're like, oh man, I'm here, like I've come this far, because you don't realize the compounding growth of your actions as
Yeah.
long as you maintain them. I agree with that system 100%.
Yeah. You know, the way that this just recently came back into my life. I ran my first marathon 2 weeks ago.
Oh wow, congratulations.
Thanks, man.
That's awesome.
It was amazing. I'm not a runner, but dude, it was so cool. I enjoyed so much of it. But the light bulb went off for me. I just recorded an episode. I'm going to put it out on YouTube here, I don't know, in the next week or so. But it hit home for me. When I crossed the finish line, I was like, okay, that was one event that I saw the end result of it. But that was months and months and months and months and months of just doing the consistent work to get ready for it
Mm.
that ultimately resulted in that one final outcome. And I was like, isn't this the perfect analogy for business in the sales world? right?
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
months and months and years of just doing the work that you know is going to set you up so that when you close that deal or those deals,
Uh,
right? Like it didn't happen by chance. It happened because you put the work in and you did it.
how many months did you have to train for the marathon?
I followed I followed a 12-week marathon specific training program. But I did 75 hard right before that. So I had 11 weeks of 75 hard where my outdoor workout was run
Running.
4 or 5 minutes every day.
Mm.
And then I took a week off of 75 hard and then I jumped right into the 12 weeks of the marathon training. So I guess technically like, 20 some weeks. But I did 75 hard last year where it was a lot of like I've been doing the work to get ready for it. I just never formally put the goal out there until a few months back.
12 weeks. How much do you ramp up in 12 weeks?
So the program I was following had me running 5 days a week.
Uh-huh.
The majority of the running though was pretty slow. They call it zone 2 running. I don't know if you're familiar with that type of. So zone 2 is you have 5 heart rate zones. Zone 1 is like I'm doing nothing. Zone 2 is like I'm jogging, but I can talk to you. Right,
Yeah.
that's kind of the equivalent. Zone 3 is like okay, I'm breathing a little hard. Zone 4 is like what you would think of with sport. Zone 5 would be like all out intensity.
Yeah.
The majority of the marathon training, it's the zone 2 training, but you're running 4, 8, 12. You're probably running 30 to 40 miles a week,
Okay.
and then ramps up like a few weeks before the race. You're probably running 80 miles that week.
Man, that's awesome. I've always wanted to run a marathon, but to be honest, I'm a little nervous because I mean, dude, that's a long. I've done a half marathon.
Okay.
I did a half marathon, and this was years ago, 2007. I did the Kentucky Triple Crown that they
Okay.
do during the Derby. So it was a 5K, 5 mile, 10K, or no, 5K, 10K, 10 miler, or a half marathon, and I did the half marathon.
Nice.
And
Did
so
you like it?
it's like a back-to-back race, week after week after week. Yeah, I liked it. I remember feeling terrible at the end. But I didn't really prepare, and I didn't like do any. I was in the military time, so we did PT, and I ran all the time.
Yeah.
But I'd run like 2 to 4 miles max, and it was mostly 2 miles. So every once in a while we do 4. But running a 10K wasn't really a big deal to me. I'd done
Sure.
multiple 5Ks before, so running a 10K was just like, yeah, okay, yeah, I'm a little worn out. But going from a 10K to a half marathon, man, that was a kick in the nuts.
Yeah,
That
dude.
sucked. It was terrible.
Well, even in the long runs, like you don't, because you're still running fairly slow. Like you never run your marathon pace in training. You do for parts of it, but the long runs, like it takes probably 9 miles before your muscles are like, okay, this is starting to suck a little bit.
Yeah.
So yeah, if you've never done a long race before and you haven't trained a lot, like they want you to run at least 20 miles before the marathon comes, because you're still nowhere. Like you still got 6 miles after that, but at least you know the pain at 20.
Yeah.
And your mind's kind of ready for it then when you get there.
So, did you hit a wall during the race?
Dude, you want to know something crazy?
I do.
So I like 4 weeks before the run, I'm doing my long run and I had the worst pain in my legs. There's this little stabilizing muscle that kind of started going haywire on me, I guess. And there's nothing you can do except rest it. So I'm like, well, that's not an option. Can I swear on the show?
Yeah, you can.
All right. I was like, fuck that. I'm running this thing. I don't really care. So it never went away. Come race day, I'm like, whatever. Take Advil. I'm running the damn thing. So I went pretty slow at the gates. I hit the 13 miles and I was like, damn, I got 13 miles. All right. I can do this. I mean, it hurts. I'm not comfortable, but all right. I hit mile 19 and I don't know what happened. Something snapped in my head and I just fucking booked it. And for the next 6 miles, I ran like a 9-minute, 8:30 mile pace. And just, have you read Goggins Can't Hurt Me? Or
Yes.
he talks about taking souls.
Yeah.
I'm not kidding you, man. I went like dark at mile 19. I had just taken this energy shot thing, those goo gels.
Yeah.
I don't know if that's what it was. I had pickle juice at mile. I don't know. Something flipped, and I'm like, I'm taking these motherfucker souls.
I love it.
And I just went nuts, and I ran, and I'm dancing and running. They show you how many people pass you at each stage of the mile, and then how many people you pass. I passed 1,600 people in the last 6 miles of the race. because I just would fucking, I don't know. I'm taking souls, and I just went.
That
It
is
was,
so awesome.
I didn't,
That makes me
dude, I
want to
had
do
no
a
idea.
marathon, bro.
Huh?
That makes me want to do a marathon.
I'm telling you, man. The Twin Cities Marathon, you run through Minneapolis and St. Paul. It's fall time here. The leaves are changing. You're running through the lakes.
Mhm.
There's probably 60,000 spectators the entire way, cheering for you and signs and it's just this party, dude. It was so cool. I loved it. I signed up for another one right the next day after I was done. I signed up for another marathon.
That's awesome, man. That's
So
fantastic. Congratulations.
thanks,
that's a
man.
good story. So, so we met through Arate, correct?
BBG.
BBG. Okay, okay. So what brought you into BBG?
Well, so I didn't hit on this in my background, but I've been in the food world since, well, geez, my very first job was a dishwasher at a bowling alley when I was 12. Like I've been in the food game a long, long, long time. But in like 2016, I was like, corporate America sucks. It's not super fun unless you're a super high overachiever, and you're willing to devote hundreds of hours to the job, which I was until my first kid was born. And I'm like, fuck this, man. Like, I don't have the energy for it. And I got deep into real estate investing. And so I started building up a real estate portfolio. And I paralleled pathed this dual life, I guess, for lack of better terms, from like 2016 until really 6 months ago, where I was really pushing on the real estate side, and I built up a portfolio, and we've got a whole portfolio of long-term buy and holds that we own and manage and whatever. But I really lost focus of the food world and what I really love and my passion, and I wanted to be this real estate guy, but I don't love real estate. Like I didn't love the process of it. And so I was a mess. I was confused as hell. I'm a big Ed Milet guy and Andy Frisella. And I heard Rory from Brand Builders Group on Ed Milet's show talking about building a personal brand and clarity and all this sort of stuff. And I was like, yeah, I need to figure this out because it's exhausting. I have no idea where I'm going. I'm trying to build too many things. I'm not clear. She hands wall. That's a real thing, man. I'm bouncing off that thing. Nothing's sticking. I'm grinding, but I'm not seeing success and results. And I was like, I'm signing up for Brand Builders. I'm going to just follow the program and figure out what is my focus? What is my why? Why am I doing what I'm doing? And it just, I don't know, kind of called to me, I guess. I jumped in.
How's it been since you started?
It's been great, dude. I have my real estate investment stuff, but I don't focus on anything anymore except the food world and just getting this message out, the podcast and the food world. Like that's my passion. And for once, I don't care what anyone else is doing. I don't care what I heard on Instagram or social media. I'm true to what I'm working on. And I really think Brand Builders helped me figure that out.
So for your podcast, since you just mentioned it, the hardest deal, tell the audience a little bit about how you came up with that podcast and where it's stemmed from.
Yeah. So, when you're a merchant for all the big players, right? I would walk through a trade show. If anyone saw my badge, Matt, Target buyer, I would get literally hundreds of people to come over and try to talk to me and try to sell me stuff. I've been pitched everything from everyone over the last, 20 years. And I've been through all sorts of really horrible deals, tons of horrible business transactions on both sides of the desk. And when I got into the real estate and the investing game, personally experienced just really sucking at sales and these hard transactions. And I had some really, really bad ones that I went through. I'm like, I'm done. I can't do this. I'm going to get sued over this. I'm going to lose my license over this. I'm going to lose a shit ton of money over this. And, I had these really tough experiences, but I kept going and pushed through it. Like we were talking earlier, one foot in front of the other and go. And, a few months ago, as I was doing Brand Builders and just thinking through like my past and what am I uniquely able to talk about, I'm like, me personally, I've been through some really tough stuff, but I know a lot of people have been through a lot of tough stuff too. And wouldn't it be great to like share those stories and help people who are up and coming in sales and business building understand that shit happens and shit happens a lot, but it's how you deal with it and how you get through it that matters. And that's what's going to define you. And I'm like, I'm going to create a podcast that celebrates all of the hard shit And I'm going to call it the hardest deal. And I'm going to talk to people who are just really good and kicking ass at what they do. And I'm going to hear their stories of when they weren't good.
Yeah.
Or what was that one deal that they almost quit and they almost said, fuck it, I'm done. And how did they get through it? And it's going to become this big movement of just helping people put one foot in front of the other and keep going and realize that there's always a way through things.
Yeah.
And if you surround yourself with good people, you there's almost always a solution. There's almost always a way to get through it. And so that's where the podcast came from.
And it's the solution almost always is perseverance in time.
Right?
9 times out of 10. 9 times out of 10.
And if it's not one of those two, it's find someone who's been through it. Find a mentor. Yeah. Find someone you can talk to who is going to look at your situation and go, oh shit, man, I was through that 15 years ago. It's not, trust me, your career's not over. It's not the end of the world.
Yeah.
I'm going to help you through it.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Absolutely. So how long have you been doing the podcast and how's the performance been?
I've done 11 episodes, 5 are live. So I'm still, going. Honestly, the happiest thing about the podcast so far is I came home the other day and my wife finally got into podcasts, but she likes like the Bella twins and the Kardashians and, she's really into that world. And she looks at me and she's like, this podcast is actually pretty good. And I was like, oh, what are you listening to now? And she said, I'm listening to yours. Like,
oh, thank you, baby.
I know. Like, well, you're sitting at the center island listening to me. Like, she's not into business and she's not into sales and marketing. This is not her cup of tea at all. But she's like, this is really good. Like, I like listening to this. I thought, oh shit, all right, I'm onto something.
That's good, man. That's good. Well, I'll tell you, I enjoyed having a conversation with you when we recorded a couple weeks ago. It was a lot of fun.
Yeah, I agree, man.
It was a good one. I also told stories that I've never told on podcast. We were having a good time on that one. That was
I remember once I was at work somewhere, one of the jobs, and I was talking to a coworker, and they just start telling me stuff, and she stops and she's like, "I don't know why I'm telling you this, but you're just like easy to tell stories to." I was like, "Oh, okay, thanks." So maybe there's some magic in me having a podcast and pulling out hard shit.
It could be. So you've had 11, you've had 11 episodes. Mm-hmm. And what's the craziest, or what's, digging into that, I'm sure that you've learned a lot, because having these conversations with different people, the experiences that they've had and how they overcame it for their story on your podcast. What's like probably the most profound thing that you've learned doing this experience and going through this podcast?
That's a good question. I haven't thought through it until just now. And there's one thing that just popped out at me. And this comes through in every person I talk to. You, Daniel, Courtney, all these people that, Daniel and Courtney they've sold billions of dollars of real estate over their years. Mm-hmm. Uber successful, worth more money than anybody would ever need, right? And the thing that comes through in all these stories, they could give two shits about the money. Like, they generally want to help people. Like, it's about helping and serving the person you're talking to that gets you through a lot of these things. I think that's the biggest takeaway so far.
Yeah, it's serving in a way to help other people get through the difficult times that you went through, so that they don't have to face the same difficulties, and maybe expedites their journey just a little bit. Like that hair.
Yeah, dude. Think about your story, right? You were talking about you used to do the hard close, and then COVID came and everything went digital, and you're like, that doesn't work. I got to figure this out. There's a different way I have to do that.
Yeah. It was like banging my head against the door.
Yeah.
Like sticking my head in the door and just slamming. Like, I got to figure this out. This is not working. My head hurts.
But if anyone listens to that episode and they hear how you did that, now we just saved how many people that have been struggling with this issue? Like, oh, well, Greg did it this way. That maybe I can do that too.
Yeah.
Right. And now, and here we go.
Absolutely. Now, how much experience do you have in sales? It sounds like you have more experience in terms of people selling you with your position, but do you have experience also in sales as well?
Yeah, so I am a licensed realtor. So in my a bit of my confusion stages, I was out selling people on real estate. I represent myself in all my transactions. So we own 34 rental properties. I've been the one to buy all of those and do all that.
Okay.
And then Kyoto Consulting that we run now, I am the face of sales
Okay.
that goes and sells. So if I need to sell the manufacturers to work with us in the first place, there's a sale there and how you go about that. And then I need to sell Target and Albertsons and Save a Lot and Walmart. We need to sell them and those buyers on why they should work with us and have our products. So it's still very, very sales focused.
Okay. So I'm gonna pay the fee back to you.
All right.
I want to hear a story from you about what's one of your hardest sales, or a sale that is the most entertaining story that you got.
Where I was the salesperson on, or where I was on the
Yeah, where
receiving end?
You were the salesperson on it.
The hardest one. I have the hardest one. I haven't recorded this one yet, though. Yeah, man. You want to go through it?
Let's go through it.
So this is a big reason why I started the podcast. I've never shared this all that much, but let's go. Okay, so this is real estate. So this is 2 years ago. I left Target. Actually, I was a national sales director for a meat company for 2 years after I left Target, but that I don't count that too. So I left that company. I left Target. I left that. I'm just doing real estate right now for the time being while I figure out what I want to be when I grow up. I get a lead from Zillow, which a lot of leads come in through Zillow. And so I don't know these people, but they happen to live in the same city I live in. They have a nice house. They're super nice people, really successful. And so we hit it off and we're talking. And they want to buy a house and we go to make an offer. That house sells in a heartbeat. That was the crazy world of COVID. And so we don't get that one. And I think, well, that's the end of these guys. I'm not going to hear from them. But a week later, they go, we want to see this other house. And I kind of laughed. I'm like, are you fucking with me? And like, no, we want to see this house. And I'm like, this is bizarre. So the house they wanted to buy was my aunt and uncle's house. Randomly. Random city. You know, Twin Cities is 6 million people.
Yeah.
Right? Like, randomly met them on Zillow. My aunt and uncle's house is on the market. They already had it listed with somebody else before I got in the industry, so they're working with someone else. And now the people that I'm representing want to buy my aunt and uncle's house. And I'm like, this is fucking weird. No way. No. So they do, right? So I don't tell my clients, I don't tell them that I know the house. I don't tell them I've been in it 1,000 times. I don't tell them any of this stuff. I'm just like, I want you guys to make the decision on your own. And so they love it. They make an offer. I tell the listing agent, I'm like, look, I'm their nephew. I don't want any special treatment. I don't want my aunt and uncle to agree to this because it's me. Like, pretend I'm just some dude. I don't want the family card. I don't want any of that shit. We have a very strong offer. We're asking what you want. It's an expensive house. The only catch is that my sellers they want to sell their house first before they buy my aunt and uncle's. So that's pretty normal in real estate, right? It's pretty normal if you own a house, you need to sell your house before you can buy the next one. And so that's typically how a ton of contracts are written. In the COVID world, that was not how they're written because things were flying so fast. Buyers had to be able to just buy with no contingencies.
Okay.
So I tell the listing agent, you know, here's the situation, whatever. I'm like, I get it. If my aunt and uncle don't want to do it, that's fine. My aunt and uncle are like, oh my God, we love the fact that you're here and that you're going to do this and we're working with you. And yeah, let's do it. So we get it under contract, full price. Like, there's no special treatment. The way that contingency works, where my seller or my buyers have to sell their house, is that while my sellers / the buyers are selling their house, technically, my aunt and uncle could still sell their house too. So it's still active. Make sense?
Okay. Yeah, it makes sense.
So my aunt and uncle are still selling they're still marketing their house. And of course, as fate would have it, my aunt and uncle get an offer on their house higher than ours. And so in that instance, they can go to us and they can say, you have 2 days to get your house sold, or you lose the house and we're selling it to the other people.
Yeah.
And so, again, this is all very common stuff. So I tell my clients, and they're like devastated, right? Their house isn't even on the market yet. We just started showing it. We've had no interest. Their house has to sell with no contingencies, no inspection, no nothing. It has to be a cash offer, which is not super common. So we go through day one, and I tell my clients the situation. I said, all right, here's an option. So I'm a real estate investor, right? I told you I've got a portfolio. I buy houses. I said, I'll buy your house, right? I'll write you a cash offer right now. I'll buy your house. I've been through it. I trust you guys. I know you guys. I'll do it. I can't pay full price. But if you really want to make this deal happen and you want to sell me your house, sell me your house. And I'll buy cash, and then the contingency goes away and whatever. And they're like, okay, let us think about it. And I cleared it with my broker and made sure that it was okay that I did this, since it made sense that it'd be okay, but I just wanted to make sure I wasn't breaking any rules. And so we go through, and my client's like, all right, let's go. Let's do it. So I write an offer. I write it as my company, because my company is a company, right? My investment company.
Yeah.
And I sent it to the listing agent from Matt and Uncle. And the listing agent's like, okay, I kind of figured you guys would do this. You're a big team here. I assumed you had the means to make this happen. He's like, get it. Got it. We're good. All right, let's go. Let's make it happen. And this is where the story gets all sorts of fucked up. The next day, I get a call from the listing agent, and he's pissed at me because my uncle was fucking pissed, like really pissed. They feel like I did something wrong, like I shouldn't be able to do this. They're calling all sorts of shit into question. When you write an offer, you need a pre-approval letter, which is not by law required. It's just like a best practice, right? So they're telling me, well, the pre-approval letter is bogus and fake. No bank would ever do that. And I'm like, you can call my bank. I've worked with them for 5 years. Like, we've got millions of properties or millions of dollars of stuff with them. Like, if you think this is fake, you can fucking call them. I don't care.
Yeah.
They're pissed, like so mad, because apparently this other offer was great. And so this is what starts now a 6-week long ordeal where, I mean, forget the fact that it's family. They don't give a fuck anymore. They're like, you screwed us out of money, and now it's all about money. When we were talking earlier, it's about the clients, right? That's the goal. Yeah. My aunt and uncle made it about money, right? And I told my clients, I'm like, if you want to make this happen, I'm here for you guys. I'm doing this for you. I don't want your house. I don't invest in the Twin Cities. I invest in a different city altogether, but I'll buy your house. It's a nice house in a nice neighborhood. I'd love to have it as a rental.
Yeah.
So if you guys are in, I'm in. If you're out, I'm out. I'm totally fine with it. I'll be under contract, and if a better offer comes in on your house, totally fine with it. I will give my contract position up and let someone come in if it's a better deal for you guys. It's my choice, right? I can do this. So my aunt and uncle are already mad that I made the offer happen. Listing agent says to me, if your company don't buy this house, I'm just warning you, we're going to have a war on our hands. And I'm like, all right, man, fuck you. Like, I'm young, but I'm not that young. And I'm not intimidated by you. Like, whatever. 2 weeks later, my clients do get a better offer. And I do walk away, and I do let them take this better offer, which was, way more money for them. In the minute that change happened in the public system, I get a letter from an attorney saying, we're suing you. You guys, your business was supposed to buy this house. You're not buying it. Someone else's. This is all fishy. This is all phony. This is all fake. Unethical. I get a call from ethics. We're going to take your license away. All this shit. Right? And I'm sitting here and I'm telling people in the office, and they're like, wait, this is your aunt and uncle? I'm like, well, I guess. Right?
By marriage. I don't know.
No, by blood. Like,
yeah, I'm being facetious.
I know. Dude, and when I tell you, like, I'm super close with my family. Like, my cousin and I grew up together. Yeah. I've been to their house so many times. Like, my aunt, when we went under contract to buy her house, sent me the most beautiful text message. We're so proud of you. We're so happy. Your uncle and I, just the man you become in the business, and just, we're so, so, so happy. But because they feel like they're losing out on money, all of a sudden, You know, all of a sudden now I'm some evil, horrible person.
How much money is it? Is it like,
Dude, I'll tell you at the end. That's what I was thinking. I'm like, how? I mean, it was nuts in the real estate market. So I'm thinking we're talking like hundreds of thousands of dollars. But I mean, I don't need to share my aunt and uncle's financial situation, but trust me, man, they're fine.
yeah,
Right? There's not amount of money that is gonna. They're selling their house because they're moving to North Carolina, building a brand new house.
okay,
Right? Like they're not hurting.
yeah,
So I'll tell you what it was at the end of the day. So dude, this is just I'm telling when I was telling you the hardest deal in the podcast and like the situations where you like question everything and you're like, why the fuck am I doing this? Why am I here? I suck. Like that was me. All those feelings. I'm like, what am I doing? Like, did I screw this up? What did I do wrong? And my clients, I'm like, are they mad? My uncle's now calling my clients. It's calling them at work. It's like, you know, oh, I'm not mad at you guys. He tells them, I'm mad at Matt and his real estate team. I can't believe they do this. And my client's like, what did they do? They offered to buy our house. Like, and you guys didn't have to agree to our offer in the first place.
yeah,
Like, nobody made you take any, like, the whole thing just got so fucked up and just bizarre. Fast forward, it's like 2 days before we're supposed to close, and it's just I can't sleep. My anxiety's through the roof. I think I can get ulcers. Everything's just, my mom's calling me bawling because my aunt won't talk to her and said that it's better that we don't talk ever again. I'm like, you know, my aunt's, I don't know, something about so betrayed and just all of this shit, and I'm like, what is going on? I'm not exaggerating any of this, which is the sad thing. 2 days before we're supposed to close, again, an attorney tells us, your uncle will not close. So unless they get what they're owed, they're not going to close. And in Minnesota, if the sellers don't sign the paperwork, technically they're in breach of contract, but you got to sue them.
yeah,
And then you got to go through court and you got to drag this thing out. My sellers have already sold their house at this point. My buyer seller clients, they've already sold. They've got 2 little kids. They're trying to move before the school year to get their kids into school. They're trying to make sure that everything's taken care of. They have nowhere to put their stuff. They're not from Minnesota. They don't have family here. They don't have a place to go. Right? So, I mean, now it's getting bad. Now I feel bad for my clients.
yeah,
Like really bad because they're getting fucked. And I'm like, I've got properties in Duluth. I'll kick one of my tenants out and you guys can go and stay there as long as it's take. I'm trying to find other solutions. I'm trying to find them something in the Twin Cities. You guys can stay here. You can, you know, I'll pay. Like, I want you guys taken care of at the end of the day. And so we're going back and forth. Now our attorney's involved, which I'm paying for the attorney. Cause again, I feel like I somehow screwed up, but at the end, like looking back on it, I didn't. I just was trying to make this happen for my clients.
yeah.
But I don't know. And I'm scared and nervous. And so like, I'm just going over the top to try to just get this thing done and get my clients taken care of. And ultimately, the attorneys end up drafting this big long thing. And here's what we can and can't do. And here's what we're going to say. And here's what's going to happen. And I find out how much the other offer was. So the house was, I don't know, call it 700,000. How much do you think the other offer was that would make you want to go through this loophole as my...
I'm gonna guess if it was me,
Yeah.
it'd have to be at least 750,000. But I'm gonna guess it's like 705,000.
So you're saying 50 grand would be enough to like feel like you got screwed and pissed off?
If you were out $50,000, I wouldn't attack my niece, my nephews, you know, my nephew, my niece. I wouldn't attack family, but I would be like, man, that's kind of that stings a little, right?
Okay.
But $50,000 is like 750,000. I could see it being a bit of a tough pill to swallow.
See, in my mind, I'm thinking like, what would it take for me to do this? Because I got nieces and nephews. I'm like, if I was in this situation, and again, I don't know, maybe not, but I'm thinking like, dude, it'd have to be at least 6 figures before I would be like really frustrated. I think, especially if I'm like okay and don't really need it.
Yeah.
It was like, I don't know, 40 grand or something, 30 grand. It was like 6% more.
Okay. So 30 grand is just, yeah. I mean, 30 grand's a lot of people, 30 grand is not to spit at, but if they're really well off, they're obviously, I mean, they have a $700,000 house. So
Right.
it's not like they don't make money.
Right.
You know,
Right. Right.
$30,000 is not really going to break the bank.
Yeah.
Not where you're like going to family and talking about being betrayed and throwing your hands in the air. And
that's how I look at it. But you know, teach their own. And look, man, I don't tell this story. I have no hard feelings. I mean, I haven't spoken to him still. It's been almost 2 years. I don't know that we will. I dream about it. I have dreams where we like make up, and you know, I'm bawling, and like it's weird that it still weighs on me. But you know, it is what it is. I didn't pick my family, like, right? I don't know. So we finally, everything's drafted up. My clients end up coming to the table with an extra 20 grand. I come to the table with 5, and I think the listing agent came to the table with 5. So my aunt and uncle ended up getting 40 grand more, I think was it how it worked.
yeah.
And I'm pissed because now I feel like my clients are getting fucked out of this now, because now they're writing a check for a lot more money, and I'm like, this is bullshit. The septic tank, was it non-compliant, meaning it was broke? My clients had to fix that. My aunt and uncle didn't tell us that. Didn't tell us until after it was due. When I asked their listing agent, I'm like, dude, you broke ethics. You have to fucking tell us that. He's like, and I wish I recorded the call. He's like, well, I didn't want to tell you. I'm like, I don't fucking care if you wanted to or not. You're obligated to do that.
Yeah.
So it just, the whole thing just got fucking messy. We closed. My clients got the house. They're super happy. They love it. I mean, it's a beautiful house. My aunt and uncle got what they wanted at the end of the day, but you know, I'm just like, you know, I don't need any of this shit in my life. Like, that was the one where I'm like, of course, like I get creative and I think outside the box and all the shit that I do. And like, you know, I write this cash offer to help out and go and like, you know, make the best of it and make this thing happen. And everyone else is like, I would have never done that. I know you wouldn't have. I would. Like, I'm trying to do the best that I can here for who I'm representing and who I'm working with.
Yeah.
And it just spiraled. So,
dude, that was a gripping story. I was all the whole time. I'm like, yeah, like listening. I'm like, what happened next? That's great, man. I'm glad you shared that. I appreciate it.
It makes me, like we were talking earlier. I know I said it again, but like, you gotta have the right reasons. If I was doing any of that to get the house or to get a deal, or like, I would have walked away.
Yeah.
You know, I'd have been like, no way, man. I own enough real estate. I don't need another one right now, especially not for this headache. Right? Like, I would have never even made the offer in the first place to buy my client's house. I would have just been like, well, sorry, the situation sucks, but you know, we don't have a buyer for your house, so you're gonna lose the other one. Which, that made me feel worse than anything if that would have been the case. I'm like, I'm not letting that happen.
Yeah.
So
that's a true concept, you know, a very real concept. I talk a lot with my team about the correlation between sales and leadership, and how the strategies and all the applications are paralleled. They're very, very similar. So like the way that you would influence people in leadership is the same way you influence people in sales. And I actually had a really long talk. I have leadership training with my team once a week, and we were doing a leadership training, and one of my agents was talking, and we're talking about trying to motivate and inspire agents or sales agents, 1099 agents, to be more accountable. And and like, how far do you go to where it's hand holding versus, you know, just giving them, setting expectations and letting them do their own thing? Like, where do you draw that line? And it was a really good conversation. And one of my agents came up and was like, you know, he said something about like, you know, he doesn't want to waste his time. He's like, you know, I'm just going to set the expectations and tell him what's expected. I'm not going to waste my time. And I was like, well, that's quite a dichotomy that you're playing at there, right? Because if you're saying I'm not going to waste my time, that means that you're expecting that they're going to do more than you're going to do as the leader, right? And that you're doing it just to get them to go get rolling and just to get an override, and you're not doing it to actually lift them up. And I asked him, I was like, do you believe that everybody has greatness within them, that everyone has unlimited potential? And he said, yes, I do. Okay. So then if everybody has unlimited potential and everyone has greatness within them, do you believe that like each person has it pulled out in different ways? Well, yeah. Okay, that makes sense. So, is it possible then that maybe the method that you're using is not effective to pull out that person's greatness? Then maybe you should try a different method
Yeah.
instead of saying, I'm not gonna waste my time. Like, because now your focus is singularly focused on just getting them to be productive so that you make a profit. Just like you're talking with your situation, if you were singularly focused just to get the deal and make the money, you wouldn't have cared about them as the client and being creative and trying to find different solutions in order to make the deal happen.
Yeah.
And I love how sales and leadership are so intrinsically just melded together in terms of the strategies and how you can really make those correlations.
Yeah, dude. We dealt with, so when I was in the real estate team, which technically I guess I am, but when I was like doing it full time, I was a team leader, sales leader on the group, and so I had a group of agents that I tried to lead and grow. And I think you said it spot on. Like, everyone learns different, but everyone has greatness in them. My challenge for me, because I look, man, I've been in corporate America where I have an MBA. Everyone had to have an MBA. Not that means anything other than you're like typically an overachiever.
Yeah.
Right? Like, a lot of the people that I was surrounded with in corporate America were very type A driven overachievers. We all were. You had to if you were in the roles that we were in. And when I came into real estate, when I left, and I'm in the world I'm in now, part of my struggle, if I'm being honest, is I don't know how to relate to people who aren't overachievers. And I don't mean that with any disrespect or anything. I just don't understand the mindset of I can't do something.
Yeah.
And so, like, that's been a big journey for me, is just figuring out, like, how do I talk to all sorts of people who just think very differently than I do, but still help them understand the greatness is there. They can do it. They really can. Like, you don't have to do it the way I do it, but you have to believe you can, and just figuring out how do you get through to them where they understand that and can see it for themselves.
Yeah. That's kind of the age old question, isn't it? If I think if somebody cracked that code, it would change a lot of people, right?
Yeah, I think so.
That's always the challenge, man. That's probably the biggest challenge that I face on a daily basis is, like, how do I reach my agents and get them to look within and find the power within? Because I know it's there. It's like, I see more inside you than you do, and I know you can do it.
Oh yeah.
Because if I can do it, I'm a clown. I know you. so yeah, man, that's the challenge.
Yeah. Well, hey, when you figure out how to unlock that, you let me know, because I would definitely like to know the answer.
I'll be here for you, brother. I'll
Thank
let
you.
know. We'll do another podcast. We'll jump on together and rap
Deal.
about it.
Deal.
Matt, thank you so much, man, for coming on board and having a chat with me and sharing your stories. In closing, knowing what you know now, what's the one piece of advice you give to yourself, looking back, that you know now?
Oh man, the one piece of advice. I just we've said it a few times. I think it's just so important. There's always a way. There's always a solution. It may not be right in front of you. You might need help finding it, right? But there's always a way to make it happen. And if you think it's money or education, those typically are never the problem. It's never, you can't not do something because you're not smart enough or because you don't know. I mean, maybe you need to be super educated to be a heart surgeon, right? Like, I want a professional operating on my brain. But generally speaking, just persevere and get shit done. And, like, I don't know, have a goal and just take steps every day to get it done. I think back, man. Are you a gamer at all? Do you ever play?
I am, actually. I used to game a lot more than I do now. But
what was your game?
I was a big RPG fan. Man, I played
Which
a lot
one?
of Final Fantasy, I played like every Final Fantasy known to man.
So
Diablo, action RPGs, stuff like that.
okay, so I was a big World of Warcraft fan.
Okay, I played World of Warcraft.
Huge. Like I remember sitting there one day, and I'm embarrassed to say it now, but I you used to be able to. It was like /time played or something like that. You could type in, and it would tell you how long you played, and it was like consecutive, add up all the minutes, hours. I was like 260 days played, or something like that. And I remember thinking to myself, like, dude, if you just would have like read a book or gone to the gym or did anything other than this to better your life and just put one foot forward, can you imagine that I'd be benching 300 pounds now? You know what I mean? Like,
That's true. That's true.
I just, one foot in front of the other and just keep pushing. And, surround yourself with good people. You're going to make good shit happen. Like, I know that's maybe more than one thing, but that's my mindset now. Just keep going.
Man. I love it. I'm gonna steal a page from your book. I believe it was you that asked me this question. If there were 3 people that you could have dinner with, if there's 3 people living, alive, or passed away, alive or dead, 3 famous people you could have dinner with, who would they be and why?
At this stage of my life, I would probably say Buddha.
Okay.
Marcus Aurelius.
Oh, that's a good one.
And who would the third be? Maybe Jesus. No, I'm not uberly spiritual, but I'm big into mindset. Mm-hmm. And I just think it would be fascinating to hear the stories of what it was like in their times and how they got through what they got through. Because like everyone always thinks, oh, back in the day it was easier, and we live in such. I hate this. People nowadays, oh, the world's so hard and it sucks and we're so divided. And that. Do you think living in Rome in the 1500s was better or worse than living in America in 2022?
Way worse.
Way worse.
Way worse.
Now, I know for some people it sucks, and I know not everyone has, like, I'm a white privileged dude. I get it. I totally get it. But I think we live in the most amazing times ever, and so I think it'd be fascinating to hear stories from those 3 people on what it was like in their time and just the mindsets. And, like, I think there's something in the ancient mind that we're missing nowadays that we need to get back to and find.
I think, you bring that up, and I'm going to try to keep this point quick, but if you look at the human brain in like our evolution, right?
Yeah.
And I'm talking like from like caveman times, right?
Yeah.
We evolved, and you can either get stronger, you can get faster, you can get smarter in order to evolve.
Yep.
Right? In the human race, we got smarter. Like we're not stronger, we're not faster, we haven't developed in that sense, but we did get smarter, and that's why we're the apex predator. And through our intelligence, we've made our life easier and become more complacent because of that ease and comfort. Because naturally, that's what we look for. We look to be comfortable. Like when we were in the cave times and we were sleeping outside, what happened? We developed fire to become warm. And you can just see throughout the ages how everything we invented and developed was to make life easier and more comfortable for us. And so it just goes to show you that these are the best times, and no matter whatever time in wherever you're at in the timeline, wherever you're at is the better time than anything previous, because everything has been developed in order to make your life as comfortable as possible.
Yeah.
So, no, man, I agree.
And as we say that, I know you're a big fan of this. Everyone needs to get a little uncomfortable and go do 75 hard.
Oh,
and figure out.
Oh, yes.
Right? Get a little uncomfortable. Yes. Learn how to deal with shitty, hard things. And just, we got to get our minds able to handle something more than, oh, they offended me on Instagram. Like, come on.
Oh, man.
All right, rant off.
For my food.
Yeah. I know we went down a rabbit hole on that one, but
No, it's good. It's good. Hey, Matt, I appreciate you coming on board. If anyone wants to reach out to you or see your podcast, how can they find it?
Podcast is on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, on YouTube. I do have Instagram. I know you're flashing that up there. We talked about consistency. I'm really bad at social media. I'm getting better. But YouTube or the podcast for sure. Every week we launch new stuff. Matt Adelmann. I'm on all the things as Matt Adelmann. You can just find me that way.
Matt, thanks. This was an awesome podcast. This is an awesome conversation. I appreciate you coming on board. And for all of you watch, if you got any value from this, then do me a favor, share this content with somebody else. And this is a value-based exchange that you see value from this, you learn something from Matt, you share this with somebody else that can also get value from it, and then we grow by word of mouth. As always, stay tuned for the next episodes. Make sure you follow me on my Instagram. Make sure you follow on the YouTube. Click the like button if you liked it. And as always, be the difference. Until next time.